things that are poisoning the youth,
Like?
like pushing LGBTQ in school.
Okay, so you're so
Just
mad
for
that the left
example.
is okay with people being gay that therefore you think the people who bend
No,
their
people.
knee to the adjudicated felon who wants to abolish the Constitution are better?
I would say I'm more so a Republican than support Trump, but I'm a little bit confused on
Let me
why
let me ask you
people.
let me ask you a question here. If the election was held tomorrow between somebody like Kamala Harris and Trump, who do you vote for?
Trump.
Okay, you would vote for Trump tomorrow. And why wouldn't you
Yeah,
vote for Kamala Harris?
transparency.
So you think that she was less transparent than the 34 count criminal felon that a woman was found guilty of it and is now denying that he ever did it and advocating for her to be thrown in jail, plus the guy who was ordered by we the people in Congress to release all of the Epstein files, whose DOJ is now explicitly saying that they will not release the Epstein files and they don't care if it's illegal. That guy.
Transparency meaning like knowing what's going on in that term.
Yeah, we see the largest lack of transparency in modern American history in the Trump administration. They're covering up the Epstein files. They've covered up some of their involvements in Iran. They've covered up what they've done at the border, and they've covered up the murder of citizens by denying local prosecutors access to evidence that could lead to the prosecution of the ICE agents that killed Renee Good, Keith Porter, Alex Preddy, Lorenzo, the guy in Maine. Okay, I just don't think that we've ever seen a less transparent admin in modern American history.
But whenever I say transparency, I mean like how many. A lot of people don't like to hear. Like my mom's a big Republican MAGA, whatever, and I don't 100% agree with everything that she says. Like she's like a Fox News merchant, and I think Fox News is just as much propaganda as CNN. But transparency would be people literally had no idea what was going on in the Biden administration.
No, that's not true. You just weren't paying close enough attention. Like, I won't say that their messaging was good, but I also wouldn't say that I had no clue what was going on. No, I just paid attention. And by the way, it's normal for the average American to not really pay attention to politics. Most people don't really know what's going on.
Well, my issue is it seemed like with the Biden administration, a lot of people didn't know what was going on. And with the Trump administration, people know too much of what's going on.
Because more people are paying attention, not because the Biden-Harris administration was less transparent than Trump.
But one of the main reason why I requested
you can't simultaneously be transparent and be a liar. Okay, Donald Trump told over 30,000 confirmed lies in his first term alone. To this very day, he still hasn't been transparent about the outcome of the 2020 election. We've never seen a less transparent president than him. What did Biden or Kamala Harris do that was less transparent than trying to convince everybody that the election got it wrong?
I guess whenever I say transparency, it would be like, I feel like as the leader of a country, that leader of the country it's very important that leader of the country is talking to the American people constantly.
Okay, well, I think it's even more important that if the leader of the American people is talking to the American people constantly, that he's not lying to the American people constantly. I would rather have a president that never talks to us compared to a president that talks to us every day and lies with every word he says.
But that's my issue with the American politics now is that's why I say I'm more of a Republican than I am a Trump supporter, because Trump does lie 24/7.
Okay, but you still said that you'd take him tomorrow over Kamala Harris because of transparency, but then you just admitted that he lies 24/7. If he lies 24/7, how could he possibly be more transparent than Kamala Harris?
I feel like whenever I voted for Trump in 2024, the reason that I voted for Trump was because he had set things that he wanted to do during his administration, whether he's doing them or not doing them. He had set reasons why he was running for president. With Kamala,
this is absolutely concerned with transparency. If he lies to you, if he says he's going to do something and then he never does it and then he never talks about it again, that is a prime example of the opposite of transparency, of lies and secrecy.
So other than the Epstein files, what did he say he was going to do that he's not currently doing?
He said he was going to reduce the prices of groceries on day one so fast your head would spin. It never happened. He said that he'd be the president of peace, no new wars. Then he started a new war. He said he was going to build a wall between America and Mexico and make Mexico pay for it. Built less than 3% and stuck that bill to the DOD budget. He said that he was going to pull us out of NATO. He never pulled us out of NATO, which I'm happy about, by the way. He said that he was going to relinquish the golden age of the American economy. Today, a year and a half later, literally every single thing about our economy is worse, from inflation to job growth to GDP to real median wages. He said he was going to pass an infrastructure bill in his first term. He didn't get it done in 4 years, and Biden got it done in the first year of his only term. He said that he was going to release the Epstein files, and he never released the Epstein files. He says
So what
he
did
said he was going to
Kamala?
reduce the price of gas. Now we saw the largest monthly increase in the price of gas since the Vietnam War in the 1960s. I mean, I
So
could go on and
why
on
would?
literally all day long. Oh, he said
Okay, so I get.
he was gonna end Russia's invasion of Ukraine on day one. Now we are a year and a half into his administration, and that war is still raging on. In fact, it's only gotten worse. He said he was gonna repeal and replace the ACA. He's just gutted the ACA, then replaced it with nothing.
So what would you say was the biggest running point for Kamala whenever she was running for presidency?
Sure, I'll tell you that after you respond to the 5 trillion different examples I gave you of the false promises
No,
that
I
Donald Trump
see.
made
That's the
that
thing is,
demonstrates his lack of transparency.
and I already admitted that Trump lies 24/7.
Oh, okay. Well, then how could you believe that he's more transparent than Kamala Harris?
Transparency meaning talking to the public. Kamala and Joe they
That's not what
disappeared.
transparency means.
Transparency means you're telling the public exactly what you're
Listen.
doing
If
with
you
your
if you
information.
cheat if you cheated on your girlfriend yesterday, and then you spend
Yes.
the next week constantly talking to her, but at no point do you ever admit to cheating on her, and in fact you try to convince her while constantly talking to her that you love her so very much, even though you were constantly talking to her, were you transparent with her?
No, you wouldn't be.
Exactly. So constantly talking is not equivalent to transparency. Telling the truth and being honest is equivalent to transparency.
Okay, so then I agree with you on that. Maybe I used the wrong terminology, but I really want to know what was the biggest thing that Kamala was running on.
Oh, tax cuts for the working class?
So you believe that, you believe in the richer should pay abnormally larger percentage in taxes than the normal working person.
Yes.
Now, I don't know the exact numbers on that, but the rich do pay in terms of money way more than the middle class or lower class.
Yeah, don't worry, I know the exact numbers. The top 1% pays 45% of taxes, but it's still not enough considering the fact that they hold 85% of the wealth. They pay disproportionately lower taxes than the average American in consideration of the wealth that they hold.
Yeah, but those top 1% are the people that are giving the medium and lower income people healthcare, jobs, etc.
So you're saying that they shouldn't be taxed more? Why?
Because systematically, if 1% of the population is paying 45% of the taxes,
When they hold
I just don't-
85% of the wealth, meaning that they disproportionately pay less in taxes?
Yeah, but what they're doing with that?
Why
wealth
aren't you considering how much wealth they hold? Oh, if one
I'm
person is
considering-
paying 45% of the taxes, obviously. So are you saying that the top 1% should only be paying 1% of taxes?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that.
Okay, so then what percent of taxes should they be paying?
Exactly what they're paying right now, because they're using that extra income that they have to employ and give people in the middle class like myself and lower class insurance, good paying jobs.
No, that's
Whether
not
that
true. That's not how it works. The corporate tax rate taxes corporations on their profit. Everything that they invest back into their business, such as payroll and employee benefits, are business write-offs that they're not taxed on for the corporate tax rate. I think that the top 1% needs to pay even more in taxes because while the average American is struggling to make ends meet, living paycheck to paycheck literally, and we're watching 51,000 low-income Americans die every single year via lack of access to healthcare, the top 1% is saving on average 20 to 35% of what they make. It's only fair that in a righteous society, the more money you make, the more you pay in taxes. Because not only are you able to save more, but each individual unit of the dollar is less valuable to you. $5 to somebody that only has $5 is much more valuable than $5 to somebody that has $5 billion.
So, whatever you're talking about, Medicare for the middle class and lower class, and if they can't afford good healthcare, is that not what Medicaid for, Medicare is for? Like my mom, for example, my mom's disabled.
You mean the
she doesn't
services
work.
that Donald Trump is cutting? He defunded Medicaid by close to $1 trillion, taking it away from 10 million low-income Americans. He also took food stamps away from 3 million low-income Americans.
I knew that
Riches
people
don't
lost
trickle
access.
down. When we cut taxes on rich people, that doesn't trickle down to the average American. Reagan introduced that under Reaganomics in the 70s. Since then, in fact, we've only seen an increase in worker productivity with a stagnation in worker wages. When you cut taxes on the rich, they don't reinvest it back into their companies. They just extract it as profit. Then they let it sit in their bank accounts, which is exactly why the top 1% holds 85% of the wealth. We have similar levels of income inequity in America today, similar to France before the French Revolution. And you're saying that maybe we should cut their taxes even more. And I'm not
No,
even saying,
I didn't say
and I'm
that
not
though.
even saying that we need to tax the rich people just to tax rich people because I hate them. No, I think that you could be an ethical millionaire. I think that we need to tax rich people so we could better fund and support social safety nets that allow for people to not starve to death, to not die because of lack of access to healthcare, or die on the streets because no social programs support them in the richest country in the history of humankind.
So, since you're a percentage guy, what percentage of Americans are dying from starvation?
1 in 5 kids in West Virginia today is under starvation. And I couldn't give you an exact percentage of Americans that are dying from starvation, but the fact that it happens at all is obviously a systemic issue.
I understand.
But what I'm saying is that we need to increase taxes on people that make over $400,000 per year just so we could better fund social safety nets without perpetually running a deficit and increasing our debt over $40 trillion.
So to me, though, if there's no reason in this entire world or just in this country in general that somebody should be going starving, I can drive down the main road of my small town in Indiana right now and see 6 places hiring.
We
There's
had the
no
worst.
reason why nobody should have income.
We had the worst jobs report in 20 years last year. We only added $181,000 to the economy, jobs to the economy compared to 2.2 million jobs the year prior. Not to mention that many of the jobs that are hiring are either underpaying because our federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, which means even if they work full-time year-round, they're still fucking starving, or the jobs that are hiring are already filled by other individuals because today, now, for the first time in a long time, there's more unemployed Americans than there is job openings. And then there's also many individuals who can't work, like the disabled. So what's the reason? What's the reason why it would be a bad thing to reduce taxes on the average American while increasing taxes on the richest Americans that pay a lower proportionate tax rate compared to the average American? So then we could save more lives, reduce income inequities, and reduce the debt.
So, like I said, I've grown up lower middle class. Whenever it comes to taxes and stuff, like I would work. I leave for the military, so I'm not working right now. But whenever I was working, I would work for a manufacturing plant, and I would gross like maybe 900 to 1,000 a week, putting in hours, and I would get taxed probably about 200. Right? That's not that crazy to me. Like it doesn't feel like I'm being taxed an abnormal amount. That's
the reason why it's not that crazy to you is because you're a kid without a wife and a family and you make $1,000 a week. Yeah, when you're a kid with a wife and a family, probably still living at your parents' house because you said that you're about to go off to the military, chances are you don't have a place of your own because why would you be paying rent when you're off at boot camp? Yeah. $800 a week is definitely going to sustain you. But I mean, we're not talking about kids like you and me who don't have a family, who don't have kids that we have to sustain, that make okay money. No, we're talking about the average American who has more mouths to feed than just their own and bills out the wazoo from mortgage to their premiums on their insurance to their phone and Wi-Fi to sustaining a family and supporting children through school and newborns with diapers and daycare. The point is that you are not representative of the average American.
I mean, I had my own place. I didn't have kids. I had a girlfriend. I had bills. I had all that. Like, I supported somebody else also. But
I'm telling you that you are not representative of the average American. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
So the average American is somebody that doesn't have a job that pays more than $7.25 an hour and 4 kids to feed?
The average American lives paycheck to paycheck. Do you live paycheck to paycheck?
No, I don't.
Then you are not the average American.
So the minimum wage is $7.25. I've worked multiple different jobs. I've never once ran into it. And I live in Indiana, and cost of living here is pretty low compared to the rest of the United States. And I've literally never ran into a job that is paid $7.25.
Okay, good. I'm happy that you haven't.
What jobs are paying $7.25?
Millions of jobs across the country.
Well, McDonald's workers for 14-year-olds with their work permit? Or are we talking about people with real adult jobs?
Real jobs.
There are
around 81,000 hourly workers that earn the exact federal minimum wage of $7.25 per hour. and then another 789,000 people that make below that due to tip credits or exemptions.
And the population in the United States is what, like
340 million people.
so that accounts for the average 71,000. So almost.
When did I say
200,000
that the average American makes $7.25 per hour?
You told me that I don't know what it's like to be an average American because
me telling you that you are not the average American because you don't live paycheck to paycheck is not me telling you that the average American makes $7.25 per hour. Making $7.25 per hour is not living paycheck to paycheck. Making $7.25 per hour is living in fucking poverty. You just don't understand anything about the economy.
I mean, I guess I don't. The main reason why I clicked on here is I wanted to see the graph that you brought up for the abortion.
Well, I actually want to go through something else first because you said that you're going to the military. Have you taken your oath to uphold the Constitution yet?
Yeah, I'm sworn in.
Okay, you're sworn in. So then you have more reason than me and just about 99% of the other people watching this live stream did not support Trump. Donald Trump is a domestic enemy to the Constitution. He's explicitly called for the termination of the Constitution. He did this in December of 2022 when he called for its abolition. And he's either infringed on or threatened around 8 different of our amendments and 2 of our articles in the last year and a half. A court ruled that he infringed on the 10th Amendment when he illegally deployed the National Guard in Illinois. Another court ruled, the Supreme Court, that he illegally infringed on the 14th Amendment when he tried to take birthright citizenship away from the children born to undocumented immigrants. The NRA said that he infringed on the 2nd, 4th, and 14th Amendment when he argued that it was actually okay for cops to shoot and kill Alex Preddy merely because he was in possession of a firearm. He threatened the first article and the second article when he said that maybe we should federalize the midterm elections and broke the supremacy clause. Not to mention, he's also threatened the First Amendment by saying maybe it should be illegal to criticize him in the media. He threatened the Second Amendment when he said maybe we should ban the ability for any and all law-abiding trans-American citizens to buy and own firearms.
Yeah. So would you say
he threatened the 23rd Amendment?
He goes against the Constitution.
He threatened the 23rd Amendment when he said maybe he wants to run for a 3rd term. Donald Trump is the domestic enemy to the Constitution. You, as somebody who swore an oath to fight domestic enemies to the Constitution, should at bare minimum not support Trump as president.
Again, I said that I was Republican. I voted for Trump because I felt Trump was a better option at that time. I wouldn't vote for Trump again because Trump's not going to be able to run again. So it doesn't matter.
But the point is that in retrospect, you should absolutely be able to agree that you should have supported Kamala Harris because you didn't swear an oath that would disallow you from supporting her. You swore an oath that would disallow you from supporting Trump. And honestly, like a vast majority of the GOP too. Like the GOP in Congress, they bend the knee to the domestic enemy to the Constitution. How could you ever support a party that bends the knee to the domestic enemy to the Constitution?
So you're saying that Trump's going against the Constitution and going against the amendments of the American people. Would you consider censorship of things online and hiding? What was it exactly from the Biden amendment? They were just censorship.
No.
Censorship in general would be against the First Amendment.
No, that did not go against the Constitution. No.
So hiding what people are saying is not a violation of freedom of speech.
A, you're misrepresenting what they did, and B, the 6-3 conservative leaning Supreme Court ruled that the Biden-Harris administration did not violate the First Amendment.
So censorship's not a violation of freedom of speech.
They must not have engaged in censorship. The Supreme Court ruled that they did not violate the First Amendment. That's the Supreme Court, dude. I don't know why you're like trying to argue with this. The Supreme Court ruled
I'm not really
that the
trying to argue
Biden-Harris
it, but it was
administration
definitely
did not violate the First Amendment when they reached out to Meta and they were like, hey, you guys should consider taking down misinformation about the pandemic because that's going to kill millions of people. They didn't violate the First Amendment, no. So I want you to answer my question, though. How could you support a party that bends the knee to the most grave threat to the American Constitution in modern American history?
Because I have a hard time. I would. So, to you, Trump solely represents the Republican Party.
Donald Trump is the champion of the Republican Party. The Republican Party bends their knee to Trump. That is Republicans who do not bend their knee to Trump get pushed out of politics. Thomas Massie did not bend his knee to Trump. He lost his election because Trump ensured it. MTG stopped bending her knee to Trump. She was forced to resign from office. Nancy Mace momentarily did not bend her knee to Trump. She was also forced out of office. Lauren Boebert momentarily did not bend her knee to Trump, and then Donald Trump killed her clean water bill until she got right back in line. The GOP bends its knee to Trump. How could you support the party that has bent their knee to the largest threat to the Constitution in modern American history when you are a member of the military who has sworn an oath to defend the Constitution?
I guess the average Republican, I don't think that they necessarily go off of what you just said. I think that
you're not supporting the average American. That's a Republican. You're supporting the Republican Party. You're supporting the Republican Party that is constituted of duly elected representatives on the state and federal level. And those duly elected representatives as a body bend their knee to Trump.
Yeah, but I would say that I support the Republican Party just based off of morals and values rather than...
How could they have any morals or values if they bend their knee to a rapist who's the largest threat to the American Constitution in modern American history? Where are the morals and values in that?
Morals and values on what goes on in schools, morals and values on just what people believe in general.
Okay, well, what do people have to believe in general to bend their knee to an adjudicated rapist felon who wants to abolish the Constitution?
Things that are poisoning the youth.
Like
pushing LGBTQ shit in school.
Okay, so you're so mad that the left is okay with people being gay that therefore you think the people who bend their knee to the adjudicated rapist felon who wants to abolish the Constitution are better?
No, children. I said children, to be exact.
How does the left push being gay on children?
It's well known and it's...
Explain it to me like I'm 5. How does the left push being gay on children?
It was way too normalized for children to be taught that they should feel this way in a sexual orientation rather than just going to school for
Name
things
one school that taught little children that they should be gay.
I would say it's more the normalization of it. It was extremely normalized at that time.
You're saying it's normalized to be gay?
No, I'm not saying it's normalized to be gay. It was normalized to teach children what it is to, that not necessarily that they should be gay, just normalizing children into believing that they are gay whenever the reality of the situation is these are young children that shouldn't even be worried about that at that time.
Okay, so name one school that taught children to believe that they were gay.
I was in the live, I think it was like 2 days ago, and some guy came up and was arguing with Parker about like younger men dressing in like dresses and stuff. And that was not necessarily personal to me because I really didn't give a shit, but
a young boy wearing a dress doesn't make the boy gay. What? Wearing a dress has nothing to do with your sexual orientation. What are you talking about?
Cross-dressing, I would consider. What do you mean? Dressing as another gender, thinking that you were transgender.
That's not even cross-dressing. Cross-dressing is an intentional attitude. Okay, little boys in dresses for fun, that's not an intentional attitude that they want to represent themselves as the different gender. They don't understand social constructs that gender clothing because they're small children. So you're saying that because the left is okay with little boys wearing dresses, that therefore you would never support the left in one's life. So tell me, why is it wrong for a little boy to wear a dress?
Okay, so I can give you an example that I've lived through myself.
I don't want an example. I want an explanation of why it's wrong for a little boy to wear a dress.
I'll give you the example right now. And whenever I was a freshman in high school, there was a kid. He wore a short skirt, and boys should not be wearing short skirts in high school. And there's a reason for it. The kid got sent home because he was wearing a short skirt, not just because he was wearing a short skirt, but you could literally see the boy's testicles whenever he would bend over. Whenever he got sent home, it caused an extreme uproar in our school.
Now you're talking about something totally different. You're saying that minors shouldn't be wearing clothing that reveal their genitalia. Okay, I agree with you that minors should not be wearing clothing that reveal their genitalia, but this wasn't your claim. The left
I'd say cross-dressing, but I'm not.
The left is not normalizing minors wearing clothing that reveal their genitalia.
But that's what happens though whenever people are doing this. As a female, which even most females, whenever they go to school, don't even wear short skirts.
No, that's not what happens when you say it's okay to wear clothes that aren't typically ascribed to your gender by society. No, that's just what happens when you don't wear underwear. No, that's what happens when you don't wear underwear.
You couldn't see his like testicles. He had underwear on, and you could see the outline of it. That's what I'm saying. It's like
Okay.
it was it's normalized to do these things.
Okay,
Whenever
well,
it's
if you
normalized
could
to
see
do these things.
that means you could see his underwear. The same way that you'd be able to see a little girl's underwear if she was wearing that same short skirt. Both a little girl or a little boy, if they
Extremities
were
are
wearing a
completely
short skirt
different,
like
though.
that, should be sent home and told to wear clothing that isn't that short. What does this have to do with the left? This just has to do with
Because it's
the fact
normalized
that
to do
minors
these
shouldn't be
things.
wearing children. How is this normalized? Show me one politician on the left that would endorse children wearing clothing that could possibly reveal either their genitalia or their underwear.
They
Name me
endorse
one.
children
Name
doing
me
something
one.
that they
Name me
say
one
matches
ideologue
their
on the left
person.
that endorses that.
It is normalized on the left to dress
Then name me
exactly how
one.
you
Name me
feel.
one ideologue on the left that endorses that. One person.
Do you guys not endorse people to be who they want to be?
I do not endorse minors wearing clothing
not what I
that
asked,
could
though.
reveal their
That's not at all what I
genitalia. One moment. I do not endorse minors that wear clothes that reveal either their genitalia or their underwear. That's wrong. Everybody that's on the left in here, can you agree with me that it's wrong for minors to wear clothing that either reveal their genitalia or like their private parts in their underwear? Can we all agree on that? It looks like everybody is agreeing with that. So what it looks like you're doing.
You're missing my entire point, and you're just nitpicking exactly what I said.
I'm demonstrating to you that your claim that this is something that the left supports is wrong. And you said that this person was sent home, right? By the school?
Yeah. Yes, and then it
Do you acknowledge that a
about
vast
55.
majority do you acknowledge that a vast majority of teachers and school boards across the country are left-leaning?
I do acknowledge that.
Okay, so a vast majority of teachers and school boards across the country are left-leaning, yet teachers and school boards sent this person home for wearing revealing clothing. So what you're actually pointing out here would be an example of the left not normalizing minors wearing revealing clothing by sending them home to change.
But do you agree that the left wants to normalize people dressing in the way that they feel? Can you
The
acknowledge
left
that?
wants to normalize people dressing and as it would align with how they feel within boundaries of respectable morality. Okay?
And you would say that the vast majority of the left agree with that.
Did you listen to what I just said? The left endorses people expressing themselves, okay, within relative boundaries of dignity, respect, and what is moral. To say that it's not wrong for a little boy to wear a dress, okay, because the social constructs that dictate a dress is coded for women and girls is arbitrary and has changed as society has progressed. I mean, if we were to point towards society from 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago across the globe, there were in fact societies where it was socially accepted for men to wear dresses and socially scrutinized for women to wear dresses, because these are completely arbitrary social constructs. I'm just simply acknowledging that an arbitrary social construct is not a wrong maker, okay, of an action. So when a little boy wants to express himself by wearing a dress, how could I possibly say that is wrong due to the fact that I don't think that arbitrary social constructs are things that make anything wrong or right. They're unconcerned with morality, because I don't think that morality is born out of arbitrary social construct. I think that morality is born out of what is conducive towards the flourishment and excellence for human survival. Okay, but then when you give me an example of a minor boy wearing a very short skirt that either reveals his testicles or his underwear, well, we're no longer talking about the fact that morality is not born out of arbitrary social constructs. Therefore, why would I be concerned with a little boy wearing a dress? But now we're talking about this minor wearing clothes that infringes upon their dignity, okay, that infringes upon respect and infringes upon constraints of morality, because it's conducive towards the sexualization of this minor and could possibly put them in harm's way and expose other minors to their genitalia. Therefore, they shouldn't be able to wear that.
Okay, so let's pivot for a second, because I have another example.
I don't want you to pivot. I want you to respond. What is the issue with me saying that it's okay for people to express themselves how they want to with respect to dignity and morality?
No, if that is the standpoint, then I understand that standpoint.
Okay, so then you concede that the left is not. So then you concede that the left is not normalizing minors revealing their genitalia.
Well, that's why I was about to pivot. into an adult.
I would actually tell you that the right is normalizing minors revealing their genitalia because you made a rapist president who is now covering up for the predators and the other rapists in the Epstein files who made minors reveal their genitalia and then brutally them.
I guess I don't understand that point because Trump's the only president that has released any files with anything that has anything to do with Epstein. Regardless of if he's redacting it or if he's hiding something for himself, he's still the only president that has released the documents that he's released to the public.
Well, let me
Epstein.
explain you something. You could take credit for doing something if you did it in accordance with your own will. But you can't take credit for doing something if you were forced to do it. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So Donald Trump didn't release the Epstein files by his own will. Donald Trump was forced to release the Epstein files because Congress passed a veto-proof Epstein Files Transparency Act after Donald Trump said that any Republican who votes for the Epstein files in Congress to be released committed an act of hostility against the administration. All the Trump supporters who are still concerned with the Epstein files are idiots who are not really representative of their political movement, and we just need to move on from this quote-unquote Democratic hoax.
I agree with what you're saying on that, but I just don't understand how he's forced to do it whenever the guy literally ran on it.
Well, he ran on it, and then he said, "No, I'm not going to do this." What you're doing is called his historical revisioning. It's very slimy. He ran on releasing the Epstein files. He walked into office. He said, "Oh fuck, we're not going to release the Epstein files." And then Congress passed a veto-proof bill that either he had to sign into law or would be signed into law without his signature due to the fact that it was veto-proof.
So you think that he would run on releasing the Epstein files? If Trump's that involved in the Epstein files, as they say that he is, why would he run on it and say that he's going to release it, knowing that the vast majority of the younger people that voted for Trump solely because he was going to release the Epstein files?
Because here you are still supporting him after he walked into office and said he was never going to release them. You can't ask me these silly questions that you explain the answer to. Why would Donald Trump run on releasing the Epstein files just to turn around and refuse to release the Epstein files? Because he knew suckers like you would still support him nonetheless.
But he has released shit with the Epstein files.
We just went through this. He did not willingly release a single document from the Epstein files. Congress passed a veto-proof bill that would have been signed into law without his approval after Donald Trump said that we should not release the Epstein files. How many times am I going to have to repeat rudimentary, basic facts about our country that then you just don't understand a goddamn word? Let's go through this meticulously, okay? Donald Trump ran on releasing the Epstein files. Donald Trump won the presidency. Donald Trump said that he's not going to release the Epstein files. Democrats in Congress start a petition. If they get a majority of the vote in the House, that petition then puts a bill on the floor of the House to force the release of the Epstein files. The Democrats in Congress were one person short of a majority to force the vote for the release of the Epstein files. The Democrats have a special election in Arizona's 7th district where Adelita Grahova runs and wins on being the final vote to force the release of the Epstein files. Donald Trump's puppet, Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, delays her swearing-in ceremony for 3 months until the Attorney General of Arizona tells Mike Johnson that he's guilty of impeding upon official government behaviors and he could be prosecuted and sent to jail for his crime, so then they finally allow her to be sworn in. Now they have a majority. Then Donald Trump turns around and attempts to pressure the 4 Republicans that agreed to support the release of the Epstein files into disagreeing with their previous support of the release of the Epstein files. All 4 of them are then either punished by Trump because he kills their bills, and then 3 of them were excommunicated from politics as a whole because they did not fold to his pressure. And then Donald Trump lashes out on Truth Social, calls the Epstein files a Democratic hoax that does not fucking matter, that we need to move on from. People still supported their release. Then he lashes out again and says any Republican that still wants the Epstein files to be released is an idiot because they're a Democratic hoax. People still care about it. Finally, Congress passes a veto-proof bill that forces the release of the Epstein files. Then the DOJ has to, by law, comply with that. So then they release half of the Epstein files, meaning that they still have another 50% to go that they're still on the line for. And then they say they're not going to release another page, actively in violation of the law. And then we learn that Donald Trump's name was literally redacted illegally from the files over 1 million times, including a redaction that was also illegal of a credible accusation made against Trump from a legitimate Epstein survivor in the files.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you on anything that you're saying whenever it comes to that. What the only thing that I don't understand is how people can say, because this Epstein shit wouldn't even be a thing unless Trump ran on it. He still has released more than anybody else has.
Okay,
Like,
at this
people
point, you
wanted
have to be
transparency.
purposely dense. You have to be purposely dense. It's either true that I'm talking to a moron that is less intelligent than the average third grader, or I'm talking to a grown human that is experiencing cognitive dissonance to a level I've never seen before. I've now repeated myself 4 times, you dense motherfucker. This is the last time I will repeat it. Donald Trump did not willingly release anything from the files. Congress forced the release of the files by passing a veto-proof bill. And then the two people that sponsored that veto-proof bill were absolutely crucified by Trump. And one of those 2 people, whose names was Thomas Massie, Donald Trump called him the worst congressman in the history of our country, and he put $10 million behind his running opponent in the Republican primary for the midterms and pushed him out of politics as a whole. You can't even say, oh, Donald Trump has released more of the Epstein files than anybody else, and this is a good example of his transparency. No, Congress defied Trump and forced their release, and then Donald Trump punished the people in Congress who defied him.
Yeah, again, I didn't say that had anything to do with this transparency. All I said is more has been released about Epstein since Trump been in office. That's the only claim that I'm making.
And what's the point?
People wanted to know more about the Epstein case.
But what does this have to do with Trump?
Under the Trump administration.
Are you saying that because it was done under the Trump administration, we should use this as a point in favor of the Trump administration?
Yes, because it's been done under the Trump administration. I don't understand what's so confusing about that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This guy's just an idiot. I'll give you an analogy. Wow, this guy's actually an idiot. Like, why am I talking to idiots like this? This is actually so frustrating. Okay, you are the owner of a business. Okay?
Yes.
You sell tacos. Okay? You're a taco business. Now, you are a very bad owner, and you've been putting poison in every single taco that you sell. Okay? But then you hire a new head chef, and you think he'll be okay with you putting poison in all of those tacos. Then right under your nose, he stops putting poison in those tacos. You tell him, fuck you, you've defied me, put the poison in the tacos. And he says, no, I'm not going to put poison in those tacos. So then you end up firing him. Would you be to thank for the tacos that did not have poison in them? Because it was done under your business?
No.
Even though it was done under your business, right?
Yes.
So, of course, this wouldn't be a point that would count in favor of the Trump administration, since it was done under the Trump administration, considering the fact that the Trump administration tried to stop it from being done under the Trump administration, and then they fired the people who made it happen under the Trump administration.
I guess my biggest issue with this is...
No, do you accept that? That the release of the Epstein files does not count in favor of the Trump administration because it happened under the Trump administration?
I agree. 100%.
Okay, so you concede that point.
Yes, I do. I've been trying to tell you that. All I've been saying is...
No, you repeated less than a minute ago that you agree that the release of the Epstein files is a point that counts in favor of the Trump admin since it happened under them.
I just said that it happened under the Trump admin.
And then I asked you if because it happened under them that you therefore think it's a point that counts in favor of their admin, and you said yes.
Okay, yeah. Then I guess you're right. I will give you that point, and I've been trying to acknowledge that, but
you're not trying to acknowledge that. You said the opposite 3 seconds ago. How could you be trying to acknowledge the point that the release of the Epstein files does not count in favor of the Trump administration when you explicitly said that the release of the Epstein files does count in favor of the Trump administration?
I said that it was done under the Trump administration.
Why are you being like this? And then I specifically asked you if it therefore counts in favor of their admin, and you said yes. Why are you being like this? You have to be doing this on purpose.
No, I'm not doing anything on purpose.
Yes, you absolutely fucking are. You are right now trying to gaslight me and 35,000 people that are watching this live stream into thinking that you were not trying to say that this was that this was a point that counted in favor of the Trump administration. Do you want me to replay you the VOD where I explicitly asked you if this would be a reason that counts in favor of the Trump administration, and then you responded, and I quote, "Yes, it would, because it happened under their administration." Do you want me to replay the live stream to show you where you said that?
No, I don't need you to do that. But whenever I came in here, I didn't say that I was advocating. I said that I was not advocating for the Trump administration.
But then you started advocating for the Trump administration.
I was bringing up points that maintained the reason why I would vote for Trump over Harris. That's what I was doing. I was not. I don't advocate.
Okay, so you could. So you acknowledge that you made the point that because the files were released under Trump, okay, this makes Trump preferable to Kamala Harris because you acknowledge that is a point that counts in favor of his administration, and now you acknowledge that you concede that point. Correct?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll give you that. You told me a lot of things that I didn't know about.
Good. And then I'm done with you because I'm not going to talk to people as dense and dishonest as you. I hate weasels like that. They actually stress me out. They're going to make me bald by 30. 25 if there's too much of them.